I think I'll mute everyone for now, and then it'll be just you, Lizzie, talking. How do I do that? Speak of you. Cool. Mute. All right, Lizzie, you're on.
Oh, am I now? Yeah, so obviously I'm Lizzie. I'm the infamous Tom Wilson's daughter, as I introduced myself a few weeks ago when I joined Sheer Fitness. So in this chat, I want to talk about the basics of nutrition. I don't need to tell you guys that shearing and shed work are two of the most physically and mentally demanding occupations in the world. With this being said, it's highly recommended to fuel your body efficiently, obviously, to get the best out of everything. So your body should be treated like an engine, any engine. It needs the right fuel, the quality fuel for the engine to work at its best. Now, when I say the right foods, I mean consuming mostly non-processed foods, such as organic meats, grains, legumes, fruit, veg, everything like that. I'm not saying don't eat processed foods. I mean, life is to be enjoyed. So, but if you want to be at your best performance-wise and at your healthiest, then I do suggest limiting these foods. But even though I experienced this as a shed hand, when you're in the sheds day in and day out, it's really difficult to keep track of the food you eat throughout the day. With this in mind, I do recommend getting into a habit of using an app called MyFitnessPal. So people that aren't really familiar with this app, you pretty much log all the foods that you eat on this app, and this calculates the calories, the macros, and also the water intake that you have throughout that day, which I think it's a lot easier and it helps a lot. Because sometimes you kind of overestimate or underestimate your food if you're kind of just obviously estimating it. Also, if you're serious about your performance in and outside of the shed, so gymming as well or any other kind of training, I do recommend prepping your food for the days ahead to keep you more on track and in control of what's going into your body. So yeah, and especially with some gangs, you have a cook. So they pretty much prep your meals all throughout the week and all that. And that's quite difficult when you don't know what the cooks put in. For example, a steak pie. As much as I love a good steak pie, you kind of don't know what she's put in it and everything like that, or he, sorry. So I do kind of suggest if you want to up your performance a little bit more, just kind of prep your own food. Throughout the, sorry, that's just me, throughout the week. For example, what I do is a Sunday prep. So I prep on Sundays all my most of my meals throughout the day, or if I'm working, and then chuck them in the freezer or in the fridge and just get them out as when I please, really. And also with hydration as well, that is a big one, and it's quite overlooked as well. I see a lot of people, for example, my dad, he doesn't really drink a lot of water. It's just cups of teas. Cups of teas, they've got caffeine in them, which obviously dehydrates you a bit more. So I kind of got my dad as a guinea pig and got him into the habit of having 3 big water bottles with him for the day, and he needs to drink these. So especially when you're working 8 hours a day in the sheds, I do recommend probably 4 to 6 liters of water a day. This seems quite a lot, but when you break it down into those breaks and everything, you literally just tan it back. And also I want to talk about timing of meals. So you obviously have your breakfast, your mid-morning snack, your lunch, your afternoon snack, and your tea as well. But if you're training as well, like gymming or anything like that, I do kind of recommend adding a 6th or 7th meal, like not meal but snack in there as well, and that just kind of helps your body recover and recuperate as well. So pretty much that's everything down to a T. So like just tracking your food, hydration, and meal prepping as well, just to help you increase your performance and get into a habit and a routine. Yeah, so that's pretty much it, down to a T. So if Dylan or anyone else has any questions, or you want me to go through another thing like a bit more detailed in one aspect, just let me know.
Yeah. Lizzie, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. What's your tips for meal prepping, obviously, for a week? Let's say like someone's going away on a camp out for a week. What would be your recommendations for getting organized?
So getting organized, obviously you need to do a big shop. So a bulk shop, so all your meats, your veg, your fruits, your grains, everything like that. And I just say, if you've got the day off on Sunday and you know that you've got a good 10 days work, solid work, and you won't have time to prep anything, you prep on that Sunday so you get all of your meals. I mean, it seems a lot, but it's totally worth it. And once you get into the habit of doing this, it's like second nature. And you just kind of buy bulk containers, and I'd say weigh your food out, but just, you know, estimate what if you do have a nutrition plan or your MyFitnessPal, you just kind of put them into containers, everything like that, label them and chuck them in the freezer, and then that day will come and then you can just grab and go. Really, that's what I like to call it. And the same with your drinking, your water and everything. I always carry like 5 big water bottles, even though I don't really, because that's about 6 liters and I don't really get through 6 liters. At least I've got it there, and then you can just grab it, drink it, and then yeah, instead of being parched all the time.
How much does dehydration impact performance?
Oh, a lot, really. So pretty much dehydration, what it affects, the first sign of dehydration, you get this like thirst in the back of your throat, and you've all probably experienced that. But it does affect you dramatically internally. So it kind of like it affects your kidneys first. So your kidneys kind of soak up all the fluids that it can. So obviously your urine. So even though you want to go to the loo, it will kind of like back up that urine just for those fluids, which is quite unhealthy for your kidneys, and which in the long run it will slow you down and you'll get sick a lot quicker. And what I mean by sick, headaches, nausea, and yeah, just fainting as well. And especially when you're doing 2-hour runs, it's just not worth it.
Yeah, for sure. And in terms of like your joints, your muscles and stuff, obviously and injuries, like does being dehydrated impact that at all?
Oh, definitely. So pretty much when you get dehydration, obviously you get nauseous, you get dizzy, everything like that, but also your performance. So your form will start lacking, your joints, because your joints need certain fluids just to keep them lubricated. Being dehydrated, your body kind of absorbs those lubricants as well. So it makes it more rough for those joints. And in the long run, it kind of affects them. For example, you'll pull a muscle or your tendons will go, so you'll get tendonitis, everything like that. And a lot of people kind of overlook this and just think, oh, it's just dehydration, as in like I just need to drink more water, but then forget. But it does a lot more on the body negatively, really.
It's also like massive for like your spine as well, because
Yeah.
as you're dehydrated, you start to lose, you know, the spinal fluid is made up of like a lot of water. And people that generally, for myself even, I find if I'm dehydrated, I'll start to know because my back will just start to hurt. and just like old injuries and old niggles start to come back a lot more when I'm dehydrated. And being up here in Brisbane, like I just sweat like a pig, like walking around. So pretty much got to drink about probably more than when I was shearing. And it's the one thing I noticed that, for one, like my body just hurts a little bit more when I'm dehydrated, but also my training is way, way, way down, and I don't sleep as well. So.
No, that's it. And especially with performance-wise, as you know, in the gym, you'll find yourself not lifting as much, and you're getting exhausted more quickly and everything like that. So yeah, it's a big impact in everyday life as well.
Yeah. In terms of like, you're sort of talking about your grains and your legumes and stuff like that. What would be some good, I guess, carbohydrate sources for shearers, and why are they important?
Yeah. So pretty much your good carbs. Pretty much rolled oats, all your whole grains, so your whole grain pastas, rice, breads, everything like that. I say whole grain because these are complex carbs. So you have your complex carbs and simple carbs. So complex carbs, they keep your body going for longer. And when I say simple carbs, these are all your sugars. So your white breads, your white rice, everything like that. These are kind of good for straight after a workout, so your really high intensity workout, just to get that glycogen into your muscles. But when you want to go for 8 hours of the day, you don't want that spike with the simple carbs, because once you spike with them, you crash really quickly. So you kind of want to lean towards, during the day, the complex carbs. So yeah, so I say the oats, the whole grains, and when I say legumes, I mean like your beans, like your kidney beans, your cannellini beans, and also peas and corn are really good, because they're quite high in good sugars, but they have the fiber in there as well. And the same with fruit and veg. They're really good after a good run. So your bananas as well. They still have the complex carbs, but they still got those natural sugars just to give you that little hit as well.
Cool. Has anyone got any questions?
I know, I'm a good babbler, so.
How many calories would you need a day?
It honestly depends on the individual. So with me, because I will be lighter than you, I will probably need less calories than what you need throughout the day as well. So yeah, it's more for I always recommend doing your maintenance calories. So if you want to give me a message afterwards, if you want, and I can just calculate them for you, I can certainly do that. For example, with me, because I'm 56 kilos, and it's to do with your height as well, and how much activity you do throughout the day. That all comes into how much calories you should consume in that day. So for me, it's probably 200, so 2,200 calories a day I should consume. But for you, because you're bigger, you're probably taller than me, and if you shear 8 hours a day, you'll probably need maybe 3,000-4,000 calories, just depending on your daily activity as well.
All right, thank you.
That's all right.
And like on going into that, why is it important to have like a good amount of calories throughout the day?
So pretty much
consistent calories throughout the day.
Yeah, so it's pretty much calories in versus calories out. So if you're in a deficit, which means you're not eating enough calories throughout the day for your maintenance, you're going to lose, obviously you're going to lose body fat, your weight and everything. But if you want to eat for performance, you don't really want to be in too much of a deficit. You kind of want to linger on to that maintenance calorie level. So that's highly important with your energy as well. So if you're pretty much under eating, it's going to affect your performance quite quite a lot just because you don't have that energy throughout the day. You'll probably have good energy probably until lunchtime, and then you can just kind of feel yourself conking out throughout the day, and then you won't be able to sleep properly, everything like that. But if you kind of stick around maintenance level or in a little bit higher, so your surplus level, you'll feel that you're more energized, you're consuming more food, which makes you happy, because who doesn't want to eat a lot of food? And yeah, you Dylan. And yeah, and your performance will just obviously increase as well.
Yeah. That's a real big thing, guys. Like, obviously, like I'm here in the middle of the city, and like we train a lot of women here. And like obviously, like Lizzie's quite a small girl, but you know she's eating 2.5, you know, upwards of up to 2,000 calories, you know, which is quite a lot. When we did a Shear Easy camp one time, I actually got all the boys to track their food for the day. And a lot of them were eating half of what Lizzie's eating at the moment. And they're wondering why they were fucked all day. So they're just like, man, I just got no energy. And I'm like, it's because you're eating less than a small woman, you know? And you'll be amazed at how much that will actually impact your day. Probably one of the biggest things, like, and it's not always that, like what Lizzie was saying about the timing of the food throughout the day. So we see a lot of guys or girls actually like going through the day, and they might just have a coffee for breakfast. The thing with coffee is what it will actually do, it actually make you feel not hungry. So it sort of turns off those hunger cues, I guess. So it might feel like you're getting energy, but it's just blocking off the fact that you don't have energy. So it's actually not real energy. And then what will happen is you actually get more tired, so you start to dig in those reserves. And then if you're behind the 8 ball from the start, you know, you're always trying to catch up. And that's why a lot of guys just feel, you know, buggered throughout the day. And in my opinion, it's probably like, if we could change one thing about the shearing industry, that would make a pretty much instant impact. It would be getting that food pretty much sorted. Just eating more veggies and more food throughout the day would make a massive difference to most guys, eh? So. And you've probably seen that a lot too, Lizzie.
Yeah, and well, some men, I see it in some men, but mostly women as well. They're too scared to eat a lot, because they're obviously worried about their body image, gaining weight, everything like that. It's totally opposite as well. So once you get into a routine of eating, say, for example, for me, it's 2,200 calories, your body kind of get used to it, and then it's like it's its own little furnace. So it just keeps, it's like a fire. So you're just keeping feeding that fire. It's going to burn more, and you're going to burn through the body fat more and keep the lean muscle. But if you do undereat, what will happen is the fire will get smaller, and your body tends to hold on to those fats for survival purposes, because that's what our bodies are designed to do. So if the body gets used to eating a better amount of food, then it won't hold on to that body fat, and it will just keep it going for fuel. And then you'll look better, you'll feel better, and yeah, and again, who doesn't want to eat more food?
Yeah, and you'll probably find, like, just in general, you'll share more sheep because you got a more consistent energy flow throughout the day. Like if you're under eating, you're going to lose focus. You're not going to be as motivated, and you're just generally not going to have that go as much as someone who's getting their food spot on. So cool. Has anyone else got any questions? More questions the better, eh? Like, make the most of this, guys.
Yeah, we can go in depth, or we can go on a different path. It's up to you guys.
Is there any, with chucking in electrolyte tablets into the drinks?
Yeah, pretty much. I do. I don't mind this at all, because your body does need electrolytes. However, just kind of limit it to the 1 or maybe 2 tablets a day, depending on your energy needs. I've seen quite I've seen it once in a shearer, an older shearer. He was in his 50s, and he used to kind of live off of these Powerades. And what this does, because he wasn't consuming a lot of just water, and he was consuming 4 to 5 Powerades a day, his kidneys and his liver started to shut down, and he went into hospital, bless him. And that's just kind of, with anything, if you overconsume something, it's got to be bad for you. So again, in conclusion, just kind of keep it to maybe 1 or 2 tablets a day. And maybe if you like the taste of it, if it's the flavored ones, have like a massive like 2-liter bottle, and then A, it's diluted a little bit more, but B, it lasts longer because you like the taste.
Thank you.
That's all good.
And also, guys, like, you're actually going to get a lot of your electrolytes from your veggies and your food. So you're actually going to get probably a lot more electrolytes from like your green leafy vegetables, you know, your fruits, your veggies and stuff like that. So if you're under eating in terms of like your vegetables and that sort of stuff, you're actually probably going to start to miss out on those electrolytes as well. One thing we have found that has worked for a lot of guys is just in the morning, you know, you could have like an apple cider vinegar, some lemon juice, so some fresh lemon, and just a bit of pink or rock salt. Just mix that in your water and scull it back, and that's going to help with your electrolyte balance as well. But yeah, making sure you get those veggies in is massive as well. But if it is hot, like Lizzie said, like it is fine, just don't sort of rely on that stuff. Cool. Has anyone else got any questions? Well, Lizzie, is there anything you see quite often that you think like people should sort of take into account, like maybe just the importance of protein in your diet and getting enough, especially when you're working really hard?
Yeah, so pretty much, that's me again. So pretty much what I've seen in a lot of sheds, I say a lot of sheds, a gang, is because they've got a pre-made meal, like a cook's pretty much prepped them for the day and everything like that. They come to afternoon tea and all they're kind of getting is a slab of chocolate cake. I mean, who doesn't love chocolate? Come on, let's be honest. But because we're in that afternoon tea, we're going to go into those last 2 hours of work, you kind of need to up your protein and be consistent with it throughout the day. For example, like for me, every meal I have has some sort of protein source in it. So a protein shake, a bit of meat, some yogurt, stuff like that. And what that does, it replenishes your muscles, so they don't break down or go to waste if your body runs out of a different fuel source. So you have your fuel sources, your fats, your carbs, and your protein. Protein is not meant to be a fuel source. That is just for your building your muscles, building your cells, building your whole body pretty much. That's the role. And then you have your main source, which is a carb source. So again, like your grains, your veg, your fruit, and everything like that. That is your main fuel source. So, and then you have your fats. So if you don't have enough carbs, then you go to your fats pretty much. In conclusion, have enough protein in your diet. So if you do run out of your carbs, it doesn't go straight to protein, and then because if it does go straight to protein, then your muscles will break down more, or you'll end up getting a little bit more sick because of this. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. And like that can start to impact your joints and tendons as well.
Yeah.
So let's say, for example, like you're trying to recover from like a back injury, or, you know, you've got some form of injury and you're under eating in terms of like your protein, you're actually going to find it really hard to actually recover from that, especially if you're working hard as well. And that's why nutrition is so important. Like it's such a massive part of the game. And essentially you are what you eat. So if you're not getting the right sort of foods in, and you're not repairing the body and you're not replenishing it with, you know, for a start, your proteins, then getting your good fuel sources of your carbs and your fats, and then also like every single day, just getting a lot of fruits and vegetables, and you're just leaving a lot on the table. And like I think, you know, like I think it's come a long way. When I was sharing full time, you know, you get to smoko and you're almost fighting over one savory each, and you're like, you're wondering why you're buggered, you know. So it's stuff that's really easy, and it's really easy to solve. Like Lizzie said, like you can just have like a protein shake, or you can make up some smoothies. And probably one thing, and Lizzie might be able to go into this a little bit more, is like, you guys, like, even if you are getting fed by, you know, your contractor or the farmer, like it's 100% on you what you put in your mouth. Like it's up to you, you know, like if you know you're not getting enough food, or if you're unsure, you can always ask Lizzie or myself. But if you know you're not getting the right stuff in, just bring it to work, you know, like pack a little bit extra and make sure you're getting it in. Because in the end, it's sort of like your responsibility to make sure that you're getting the fuel. And when you fuel your body, you're going to get more out of it anyway. So, which is cool. Cool. Anyone else?
When you say protein shakes, what kind do you mean? Because there's a lot out there.
There is a lot out there. So what I kind of look for the ingredients. So if you look on the ingredients, and the main ingredients is your WPI, which is whey protein isolate, and your whey protein concentrate, everything like that. If they're the main ingredients, and then there's only about maybe 5 or 6 more ingredients, so your gum, your flavors, everything like that, that is a good protein. It's these proteins that you see in the supermarket where there's about 20 or 30 different ingredients in it that takes up. That's kind of the type of protein I kind of stay away from. Yeah, so does that make sense there?
Yeah, that answers the question. Yep.
Yeah. So you can see on a lot of sites, like you go through like the supplement sites, if you see and compare a few proteins, you'll see what I mean. So you have your different proteins. I mean, you have your WPI, which is the isolate protein, and that I recommend is like straight after a workout, and it's pretty much an instant protein. But if you're having it with a smoothie, it kind of lasts longer, and it's slower to break down, which gives you more energy throughout the day, kind of thing. But yeah.
Yeah, cool. We use a brand in the gym here, I don't know if they have it in New Zealand, called Venom Protein. And essentially it's just New Zealand whey, which is pretty good. And it's relatively cheap too, like because it's straight from the supplier, you can get like a kilo bag for about $30. It's generally pretty good quality as well. So yeah, like Venom's pretty good. I know in New Zealand there's a guy in Dunedin, he's got it's called Protein. So it's a pretty good brand. So and he's a good local fella too. Like, so yeah, check him out. He's got some good stuff there as well. So cool. Anyone else got any questions? Like, no matter what the question is, hey, just fire it through. Like, it's definitely like, I know everyone's probably thinking the same stuff. So if you got something there, fire it through. Cool. Or do you have any last things you want to say, Lizzie?
I was just thinking, going back to getting like a cooking your meals for the day. I mean, their job is to cook for everyone, and the portions are practically the same for everyone. So if you were a 75 kilo shearer and then your buddy was 105 kilos shearer, you're getting the same calories for that day, both of you, where one needs less calories for the day because they're smaller and probably shorter as well, while the bigger guy needs a lot more calories. So because this cook is just kind of portioning out the same stuff for everyone, that bigger guy is missing out on the calories that he actually needs for throughout the day. So it's something to keep in mind as well.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. And I guess like the way you can sort of look at your nutrition, guys, is like for a long time I didn't really care about it. Like I was doing CrossFit for a long time. I actually got quite fit at it and very, very fit, but like my nutrition was bloody terrible. And like I might share a photo one day. I was actually quite fat. Like I was sort of, I wouldn't say skinny fat, but like now that I've sort of dialed in my nutrition a lot, like my performance is 100 times better. And like I actually feel a lot better all the time, and I'm actually a lot leaner, and it's a lot easier for me to gain muscle or lose body fat. But I actually really didn't enjoy it for a long time. But then I realized, like, once I started to put a bit of time into it and learn how to make it work, the amount of difference it made to everything was pretty massive. And I guess, Lizzie, maybe if you could share, like, essentially the learning process of nutrition.
What now?
Yeah, it's a pretty broad.
It is. Pretty much you just have to get into it, as in like set a goal. It's hard to start off, like anything you do is hard at the beginning, but once you get into a routine and there's a certain habit, like you set yourself stepping stone goals. For example, for the week ahead, I want to do 3 days straight in a row that I prep my food, kind of thing, and then maybe have a day off. Kind of slowly get into it that way. And again, like with weighing foods, like getting your measurements. I know it's hard at the start, like weighing everything, so like weighing your proteins, everything on a scale. But once you get a rough idea of how much like 150-gram chicken breast looks like that, then you don't really need to weigh anymore. You can just, it becomes easier when you do it more, kind of thing. It's just like at the start it just seems so unnatural, but then once you start doing it, getting into a habit, freezing, prepping, tracking your calories, then it's just like second nature, kind of thing as well. And especially like drinking water as well, getting into a habit of having 2 or 3 big water bottles and setting yourself a goal, I'm going to tan back these 3 waters throughout the day, kind of thing, and just see how you feel, or see how your body reacts. Yeah, and then once you get that good feeling, it's like, shit, I want to do it more, kind of thing. But yeah.
Yeah, cool. It's just a skill, isn't it? And it's something you got to learn, and it's big payoffs down the road, so it's worth learning.
It's again, like if you have certain goals, performance goals, like things like that, you want to prioritize your nutrition and everything like that as well. For example, if you want to set a record in the to shear X amount of sheep, or you have your own little personal goals in shearing sheds, everything like that, nutrition and hydration, that does come in into it a big slab of it, really. So it just depends on how motivated and how just how bad you kind of want to try and excel in this industry.
Yeah, perfect. Cool. No, that's bloody awesome, Lizzie. Does anyone have any last questions? Cool. No, awesome, guys. No, thanks for that, Lizzie. That's bloody good, mate.
That's all right. And if anyone does want a hand with their nutrition, I mean, I like, well, Dylan didn't say anything, but I do have my own little business over here. I am an online nutrition coach. So if you do want to kind of get more in depth and have a customized plan for your needs, just flick me a message or anything like that, and I'll give you more information. But that's all good.
Sweet, guys. We'll call it there. Yeah, definitely. Like, it's something that is 100% worth investing in. Anytime I get a nutrition coach, like, it's just having someone there to actually keep me on track makes a big difference. And once you start to understand the little things that, like, you know, Lizzie or myself can actually show you off this stuff, it's bloody massive. And yeah, Lizzie's exceptional. So Cool. Sweet, guys. Well, I hope you've got a lot out of that. And yeah, we'll catch us all next week. Cheers, guys.
Cool.